Welcome to Rewards Master Live on this Sunday afternoon. I think this is our 38th live session, so thank y'all for all tuning in. We have, let's see, not many are tuning in just yet, but that's kind of par for the course. We do have one new channel member, Gentleman Explorer, became a YouTube member, so I appreciate that very much. Glad to have you on board, Gentleman Explorer. Seen you on here a lot. A-Tier 50 is a channel member and says, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you, A-Tier. Good to have you here today. Family Travel John, another channel member, says, hi, Bop. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you, John. Good to have you here. Mike Newland, how you doing, Mike? Good to have you here. Good afternoon to you as well. Channel 825, I guess that's channel 825, says, good afternoon to all. Remember to change your clocks. Yeah. If they didn't remember by now, then it's probably, they probably figured it out, I would think. But yes. Happy Sunday, says DZH. Hey, Dad, channel member. Good to have you here. Dim. Hey, Dim, how you doing? Says, good afternoon, here for about an hour, getting ready for a wedding. All right. Well, that's how long our lives usually are, about an hour. So that's perfect amount of timing. Thanks for the beer. Channel member says, hello. Good to have you here. To Larry 73 says, hello, Bop and everyone else. To Larry, good to have you here with us today. And Dim says, hello to Mike. Mike and Dim, you guys are regulars on here. Good to have you both here and everybody else. All right, looks like there's right about 20 who are watching right now. So that's a good thing. Exciting. Oh, look at Dim. $4.99. Thank you, Dim. Appreciate it. That helps support the channel a ton. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. All right. So today, just while anybody else decides to comment or jump on, today my schedule is as follows. The new developments, we're going to talk about that Robinhood Platinum card. We probably won't spend a lot of time on it because it's just a dumb card, but it's making a lot of waves. So we'll talk about it for a minute. Restaurant rewards, I'm just going to remind you about Upside a little bit because I get a whole lot of use out of that. But then in my centerpiece today, I just have one, so I don't have an A and B like it says on the screen. I just have one. But I'm going to talk about, at the end of the day, this whole thing that we do is really it's a game with the banks. It's a chessboard, if you will, of life. And as we go through this, it's us versus them in a sense. And I don't mean in a, not in a way that's violent or anything like that. It's just simply the game on the bank's part is they're trying to make more profit. I mean, they're a business. I think most of us, if we have investments in, say, mutual funds or whatever, you probably are invested with these banks. Most of us are. So we're making money when they make money. Their stock goes up when they make money in a quarter, and many of them pay out dividends. So really, in the weirdest sense, it's kind of a game against ourselves if we have investments in them. But they're trying to turn a profit, and as high a profit as they can. That's the nature of business, and that's perfectly fine. But on our end of the spectrum, how they're doing it is they're enticing people into their ecosystem to spend money, to hopefully rack up debt and pay interest, and to pay them in annual fees and other types of fees that make them great profit. And so to do that, they dangle the carrot out there about what you can get out of the deal. And it's not a lie. It is not a lie. I mean, everybody's like, well, this is dishonest or whatever it may be. It's not a lie. They do have to give disclaimers. They disclaim it. They tell us what they're doing and what the rules are. The problem is a lot of people don't read them. And I get it. It's like really paint drying on the wall, boring language, right? But that's where I think this community on YouTube and just on Reddit and the general credit card community is very helpful because it helps us to sift through some of those rules. But in essence, on our side, what we're trying to do is to extract more value than the bank hopes to give us. So they're hoping we'll extract less. We're hoping to extract more. And I think there are many principles to this that help us either win that, or maybe if we don't do them well, the banks are going to win more than we are. So that's what we're going to talk about in the main event today. All right. Dim gave that great $4.99 super chat. That's great. Juan Garcia says, good afternoon, Bop. Juan, great to have you here. He's a channel member. Great to have you here. And Mike Newland gifted 5 Rewards Master memberships. That is awesome. I think that'll put me right up close to 100 and about 138, 140 members. That is awesome. Thank you, Mike. Thank you very, very much. Mike says to Dim, hello. And Just Gaming says, never lucky. Oh, didn't get one of the memberships. I'm sorry. Dim says, fire. Mike Newland, Juan Garcia says hello to Juan. And Just Gaming, Robinhood Platinum is below VentureX and PayPal debit. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get into that in a minute, but you're right. It's below a lot of things. I mean, it's a new level of wow. I mean, it just is. Jimmy Duff, good buddy, is here. He is a channel member and says, hey, Bob, good to have you here, Jimmy. Appreciate you. K-State Nate, who's often here, says hello. And then Mike says half the language is not in English, but in a lawyer language. Yep, it is. Yeah, the thing is for a normal person like us to be able to read lawyer language, once you've read enough of it, it does start to make a little sense, but it's kind of like academic language. You know, I've had to read a lot of that stuff through the years, and it's like, why is there any kind of field where you try to say what you could say in 2 paragraphs and 18 pages with the biggest words you can find in the thesaurus? And that's how academic language often is. And it's also how lawyer speak kind of is too. So I get it, Mike. That's absolutely true. Juan Garcia says hello to Mike, and Jimmy Duff gives a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Jimmy. You're always so supportive of the channel, and I appreciate it deeply. Just Gaming says the funny thing, the people not in the credit card game are getting tricked by the 3,000 plus in rewards for $6.95. Yeah. They don't say how easy it is to get that. Is it possible? Yeah, they're not lying. It's possible. But, you know, somebody could say, well, I'm going to give you this. You get free hamburgers for a year if you run a marathon. I mean, okay, but most people can't run a marathon, right? I mean, it's you got to build up to that. People aren't, oh, and you've got 30 days. You got to run a marathon within 30 days. I mean, people might think that I get free hamburgers for a year. You know how much that'd be worth it? But they got to run a marathon to do it. I mean, it's just people don't think that through sometimes. Brian Warren, good to have you. Brian says, hey, everybody, built gold last week. Mixed my 200 credit, 100 built cash, and then some extra points to pay for 2 nights in Monterey, California. So easy to use the credits. Yeah, I used mine for the creator meetup coming up in September. And yeah, it was easy. I used 200 on the hotel credit, and I used 50 from my built cash because I hadn't quite hit my built gold yet. And I would, you know, if I'd waited a few days, I probably could have got 100 out of it. But it was 250 off of like a 344 hotel room. So that was a pretty good deal. I agree. It was easy. Mike Newland says lots of hoops to jump through. Yep, that's exactly right. And Kevin Hawthorne, hey, he's going to say hello from Lakeland, Florida. I knew it when I saw your name. Good to have you here. All right, we got 37 folks in here watching. That's a good number to get us started today. And let's just go back to the slides. All right, new development, Robinhood Platinum Card. And I just say out of hand. And what I mean is just, come on. I know we're going to have coupon books. Everybody's going to kind of try to shove coupon books on us. But wow, at least put together some decent coupon books. It's just, this one is, I thought the United ones were pretty bad, the United Airlines coupon books, and I do still think they're not great. And I still don't think the CSR is the best one out there either. But wow, what a coupon book on this Robinhood card. So just to kind of show you what I pulled off my phone, its big deal is it gets 5% cash back on dining. Now, I think a lot of people are going to look at that and say, wow, 5x on dining. Uh-huh. But you got to keep in mind, it's 5% cash back on dining. And I mean, I had somebody in one of the lives or something the other day who was like, well, that's kind of like your City Prestige card. And no, 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 it is not. City Prestige card is 5x on dining of City thank you points. They can be transferred to American or can be transferred to all their other partners or transferred one. I mean, it ends up being 10x Choice Hotels, right? It ends up being 20x the Premier hotels. I mean, because they're city points. So I just don't think you can compare apples to apples. In fact, I would argue that the 4x Amex Gold Card dining multiplier is better than this 5x. At least for me, it would be. Anybody who's interested in travel, it would be. 4x American Express points is going to be better than 5x dining. But of course, for a cashback card, that's not bad. That's not bad. But I don't think it's going to maybe have the appeal that they hope it is, that it's going to be like, oh, the card to end all cards. The other thing is on the Prestige, it's also 5x on flights direct with the airlines. It's also 3x on several other categories, and it gives $250 super use travel credit, and it gives 2 times a year. It gives a 4th night free on a hotel, and it's any hotel you want to use it at. So it's like, it's just not the same card. It's not even close. But people are going to be drawn in by that. And then it's 10% back on hotels and cars. But here's the kicker: through their portal. That's the other par for the course thing. Everybody's going to push us to portals these days. But look at these credits, over $3,000 in value every year. Now, it's $700, $695, $700 annual fee. Then the travel credit seems okay. I got to say to that one, okay. It's a decent travel credit. But the hotel credit, $500, but it's $250 broken up twice a year. And that you don't get $250 at every hotel on their platform. You only get $250 at selected hotels, which means expensive hotels. And if you choose one of the other hotels that's not one of those selected ones, it's just $100. That's your only credit. So right there, if you're not choosing the big ones, then you're losing out on 300 of your credits right there. Priority Pass, big deal. I mean, how many of us got more of those than we can count? You know, I mean, there's so many. Global Entry, okay, everybody gets that anyway. Autonomous rides credit. Well, how weird is that? I mean, that's a novelty thing. I mean, that's something that maybe you talk about. I'm famous for talking about the fact that they make too many of these credits central to big cities. This one goes beyond. This one is so extreme. I mean, I think this one's probably as out there as an Equinox credit. I mean, how many people are going to use the Equinox gym? Well, some who live in certain places, but this one's even more restrictive. Autonomous. I doubt my state has a single autonomous car. I doubt it. I mean, and I think even a lot of larger places don't have. I mean, we traveled to Birmingham, Alabama. That's a major city. I don't think they have autonomous cars there. I mean, it's just like Memphis, Tennessee. They have autonomous cars there. This is so weird. It is weird. I mean, talk about like they're just telegraphing. We want breakage. We want breakage. We want you to think the credit's cool, but not be able to use the credit. That's what it seems like to me. The restaurant credit says can be used at X amount of restaurants. And of course, it's broken up monthly, but who knows what restaurants are going to be on that, which ones they aren't. They said I don't remember how many they said it was, but it was it lined up. Matt Clausen was good about explaining that. It lines up with one of the main restaurant consortiums. DoorDash 370. And of course, this is broken up into tiny little increments that you got to work terribly hard to be able to, I've got $10 of my $30 I can get this month, and I can do another $10, and then I can do $5, but only this much of it can be on grocery, and the rest of it has to be on dining, but only this much on dining. Oh, I went over on the dining. I mean, how crazy is it, these things? I mean, this is going too much. Or a membership, but only when you use the card to buy an Aura ring. So, okay. Function Health membership, that may be good. I don't know anything about it. So, Amazon One Medical, I've heard good reports on that. I mean, Travis the other day was talking about having good report on it, that he had it with his job before. It was pretty good, but I can't speak to that. I don't know. But overall, it's like, who wants this card? Because its other earnings are 1%. So it gets 5% in dining, and if you use the portal, you get more. But then it's a 1% card. Who would give up the Robinhood Gold card that's 3% catch-all everywhere for this card? Why? What would be the logic when you could go out? Okay, you want a card that's good with dining. Well, you're getting 3% with the Robinhood Gold card, but you want a card that gets you have a Robinhood Gold card and have an American Express Gold card. I mean, problem solved, double golds. Why? Why would somebody? I just can't figure it out. I can't figure out who they think is going to want it. I mean, maybe some. Let's go back to a few comments and we'll see what y'all think. All right. I think we already got that one. Lots of hoops to jump through, Mike says. Yep, lots and lots of them. I remember we did get Kevin Hawthorne. Just Gaming says, if you're paying $6.95 for a cashback card, the coupons have to be better than a points card. I agree. This is not better. It's not even close. I'm sorry. It's not even close. It's not better. Servicio, for people who could use the cash back to save or invest in their future, rewards can be for more than just future travel. Oh, yeah, that's true. But is this a good card for that purpose? Better than the Robinhood Gold? But yeah, I see. I mean, yeah, people could use rewards if they're not just traveling. I agree. That's a good point. But I still don't know if this is the card to do it. That's my question. Oscar, I think this platinum card is just as appealing to me as the CSR. I'm a Chase hater, but my point stands. All these copycats, but they can't touch the king, the real platinum card. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you. The platinum card is good, but and I'm not a Chase fan either, but I still think the reserve card's better than this card. I mean, I think the elite card with Citi is better than this card. I even think that the United cards, and it just tastes bad to say that, but I even think they're probably better than this card. It's just not good. Servicio, isn't the Chase Hotel credit only for the edit? Yes, it is. So that's a downside, but some of the other credits seem to be easier to use. But yeah, I'm not defending the Chase CSR. I don't think it's great either. I just think this one, at least you're getting 4x Chase points, which are 4x cash back if you want them to be, by the way, on dining and on, what is it, hotels? No, you're getting 3x on dining. You're getting 4x on flights and 4x on hotels. I mean, it's going to earn overall far better than this, it would seem. Don Kim, good to have you, Kim. Waymo is a way of life here. Okay. Servicio, not every credit has to be for everyone. Some credits work for some for others. That's how credits work. That's true. But I don't want a card unless I can get most of them back, or at least far more than my annual fee. Oscar, the other problem with these copycat coupon books is we all have at least one of these in our wallet, and they're all way too similar to justify having them all. Yeah, absolutely. Don Kim, better experience than Uber. Oh, Waymo. Okay, got it. Just Gaming, $50 before taxes and fees. LOL. Mike Newland, you have to be a diehard Robinhood ecosystem to want that card. Yeah. And I would be curious to talk to any diehard Robinhood people. It does give you Robinhood Gold for free too. And so I guess that would be something that would matter to some people. But yeah, I would be curious to I don't guess I know anybody personally that's a diehard Robinhood person, but I'd be curious to know if they think this card is good. Autonomous vehicle family travel John, channel member, says autonomous vehicle credit is still better than the Lyft credits on the executive card. Yeah. You're right. I might actually use that autonomous vehicle credit once. I mean, I won't argue with you. No argument with me from me there. Jimmy Duff, this card is a nothing burger, kind of an insulting offer. Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Oscar says, oh yeah, the CSE is quite better. I just got CSP first to enter the city ecosystem, and I'm loving their app. Yeah. The Strata Elite's not a bad card. Strata Premier is an awesome card. True. I think it's unfair to compare cashback cards to points cards. The BOA Pre would be for a more fair comparison, but I think the PRE is a much better card, but only if you have a lot of investments with BOA. Yeah, that card is a very good. Then the return is very good if you have a lot of investments. But I think they've changed the numbers now. You got to have upward of $1 million to get the top level. Tell me, Servicio, if that's true, but I think I'm right about that. Okay, we got almost 50 in here who are watching. That's really good. That's really good. Let's see how many have hit the like button. 19 have hit the like button. So hit the like button. Thanks for being here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, edging up towards that 3,000 mark. Very excited about it. Thank you for those who've gifted memberships and give super chat, super stickers. All that really helps, and I appreciate it so much. All right, so restaurant rewards. I haven't talked about Upside in a while, but I still use it all the time. Upside is, you can find it in the App Store. Upside is a really simple cashback way to triple dip. And so what I do is I use it, and it's good at gas stations and at some restaurants, and it just gives you X amount back, and it changes all the time. So what it is this Upside, like this is, I just pulled this off my phone. This has restaurants on the left side, Domino's Pizza, 22% back, Taco Bell, 6% back, KFC, 6% back. I think there's a different KFC up there that's 10% back. And then on the right side are gas stations. So on the gas stations, you're looking at things like 36 cents a gallon, 36 cents a gallon. And these numbers change all the time. So they move up and down. So I just look at the app. If I'm getting gas and there's 8 gas stations close by, I just look at the app and say which one's going to give me the most back. And you get the points, or I guess the cash back from the card. I mean, from the app. And then you also get your points from your card. So if I'm at a gas station, I'm using my City Custom Cash and I'm getting 5X City points plus that, what is that one? 36 cents per gallon. And that comes in the form of cash back that can be deposited straight into your bank account. And then also if it has rewards. So like when Shells are on the list, I also put in my Shell number and get extra American Airlines points. So it's a great way to triple dip. And so I just wanted to remind everybody about it. I do have my my referral number right here, 8XH6J. So if you sign up, I appreciate it if you use that. I think I get 10 cents when you sign up. So it's not a big deal, but I've really enjoyed the Upside app. All right, beating the banks, winning our chess match for points and miles. That's going to be our main event. But before we get into that, let's see if we have any more. Yeah, Servicio answered my question. Yeah, it's $1 million to get top tier. The old top tier was like 100,000, right? And on that, you could even like have an IRA or something like that. And that has changed. I mean, so they've upped it by 10%, by 10 times, excuse me, what you got to have to get their top tier through that B of A card. Oscar, I read that even though you get Robinhood Gold, you can't hold both the platinum and the gold card. It could be wrong information, but if true, then it makes this even worse in terms of opportunity cost. Yes. And I think it was Mike Newland. We were talking the other day, and I think Mike, who's been in this live stream today, he pointed out that maybe their strategy is to actually try to, because that Robinhood Gold card may not be profitable, maybe try to entice, since you can only have one of the cards, entice some people with the gold card to move up to this other card that seems to potentially be more profitable for them than the 3x everywhere. So maybe that's the game that they're playing. Do not know. Okay, we got about 45 people watching in here. That's great. Hit the like button if you haven't done that so far. All right. Okay, fact. When it comes to this credit card points and miles game chess match that we play with the banks, most people lose. And I think that absolutely has to be true. They wouldn't give us what they give us if everybody was getting it. I mean, everybody understand the logic of that. It would not be profitable. I mean, it's not profitable for them to give me the points for Nona and I to fly business class 4 or 5 times a year. That's not profitable. When I don't pay them any interest at all. They couldn't sustain it if they had 20 million customers and they're all getting 5 business class flights a year and not paying them any interest. That's unsustainable. So that cannot be what's happening. It has to be that there are many more people that they're winning with than the few that they're losing the game with. And I think that has to be acknowledged. So how do the banks win? And I think this is a important principle, because whenever you're talking about strategy, to understand your opponent and understand your opponent's objectives is very, very important. So what would the banks like to see? What would help their bottom line the most? Well, number one, they win through crazy interest rates. Credit card interest rates are just absolutely nuts. They're nuts. I mean, I don't really borrow money anymore, but I mean, when I would borrow in the past, I wouldn't ever consider, you walk on a car lot and they offer you a 32% interest loan. People wouldn't do that, but yet they'll put their dinner on their credit card and pay interest. Some people do. Many people do. And so that interest rate is just so high. And the reason it's so high is it's an unsecured loan. So the banks don't have any collateral to go after if a person doesn't pay it, and people don't pay them and they lose out. There's big losses in the credit card world. So what they're also just doing is they're hedging their bets against their potential and expected losses, right? So crazy high interest rates, big risk, big return. That's what this is for these banks. That's why you see some banks who focus on different kinds of customers. American Express focuses on a very different kind of customer than Capital One does. Capital One, I mean, they're not so interested in a person with an 825 credit score. They're just not, who has good assets and no debt. I mean, great credit score, but no debt. That's not the person they want. They want that person who's got a balance. It seems like, at least, I don't know for sure. I don't have access to their internal communication, but it seems like they want the person who has a good credit score or decent credit score, and they have been paying on their credit card balances, and they want them to rack up a balance with them and be paying them interest on the credit card balances. Okay, that's a different kind of customer than American Express seems to want, because they make money in different ways. How also do the banks win? Well, they charge high annual fees, and they really do well when we have unused credits. Now, I'm not sure which of those credits the banks pay for and which of the credits are charged to the vendor. Okay, so I don't know how much of the Uber credit with the Amex Platinum is paid by Amex and how much of it is eaten by Uber. I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody would if they were an insider in that, but I don't know. But either way, they win the less credits that we use. So if we pay a high annual fee and don't use the credit, and there are a lot of people who do that, who leave credits on the table. Now, as I think Servicio pointed out earlier, I mean, everybody's going to leave some credits on the table. Not every credit works for everybody. I get that. I'm never going to use my Equinox credit. I'm never going to use probably the Aura Ring credit. I'm just not going to use that. I'm not going to use the Saks Fifth Avenue. I mean, I'm not going to use some of those credits. But depending on how many credits people leave on the table, the banks win in that scenario. The third thing is the use of poor multipliers. And I think we just saw that with that Robinhood Platinum. They would love for people to spend and spend and spend at 1%. Amex loves it. I know that they love it when people walk into a restaurant and pay for the bill and it's $500 and they pay with their Amex Platinum card, their flashy, fancy Flex Amex Platinum card, rather than the gold, because they just got 1X instead of 4X. I mean, poor multipliers are better for the bank than they are for the consumer. And then bad redemption choices. So there are sometimes folks who cash in their points at 0.6 of 1 cent per point for gift cards. In fact, I think a lot of people probably do that. And a whole lot of people just use the portal. In fact, I've got friends and family who are often calling me and saying, hey, I got this redemption. I need to go here, or I need to go there. And I was looking, it's going to cost me 100,000 points for that. And I'm like, okay, where are you looking? Where are you transferring to? And the answer is almost always, well, I'm looking on the MX portal. Yeah, that's 1 cent per point. They're okay with that if you do that, but you can get your points can go a whole lot farther somewhere else. So they would love the bad redemption choices. That's why I think Chase shut down that 1.5 all the time through the portal, because that was etching up there on a pretty good redemption number, and people got it on everything. It was pretty good. And then number 5, fees. So people who pay late fees, or people who get cash advances and have to pay those fees. I've had friends that were bankers, and they've told me that, if they only had customers who didn't ever overdraft or didn't ever, get their bank account in the red or whatever it may be, that they would go out of business. Banks rely upon the irresponsibility of their customers. They rely upon it. And I think that the credit card arms of these banks probably do too. So I probably missed one or two here, but I think these are what, on their side of the chessboard, what the banks are playing for. They're trying to play for it. Okay, so let's go back and see, do we have any more comments? Well, we do have a great visitor, Official Chad's Money Minutes. Chad, great to have you here. I did want to tell you, you were looking for me the other day, a flight. I did book something else, cancel my economy. I got premium from Memphis to Hong Kong with only a 2-hour layover in LA with Delta for 74,000 points in premium. So that's getting better, but I can always cancel that if I find something better. But I wanted to thank you for looking. I know you've been looking for me on that to Hong Kong. Thanks. All right. Doesn't look like any more comments. We still got 50 in here watching. So anything anybody wants to add about any of how the banks win? Do you agree? Is there something I missed there? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. All right. How to win. Well, I got several principles here that I'm going to talk about, and they're principles because they have to be applied to everybody's own situation. So I'm not putting them as absolute rules, because there's sometimes that, you have to have flexible ethics when it comes to these rules. So the first principle is I think a person has to be honest. If they're going to win against these banks, you have to know yourself. You have to be honest about yourself. You have to ask these questions and not answer how you want to be. Answer how you actually are, right? So, am I disciplined? Well, I think we all know that about ourselves. Some people aren't. They're just fun loving, and they don't get up early, and they're not stuck to a schedule, and they're not. It's fine if a person's not. In fact, some of the funnest people I know are not super disciplined people. But you kind of need to know that before you go into things that are difficult financially, right? You need to know that, and you need to be honest with yourself. Do I stick to things? In other words, am I the kind of person that just gets into something because I'm excited about it, and then I do it for a few months, and then I don't want to do it anymore? Well, if you do that with this game, you could be stuck with an $895 annual fee, right? And a card that you're not going to get that money back because you're not passionate about it anymore and you're not working the credits. So, yeah, that one could be problematic. You need to ask that question. And if a person answers, I'm not disciplined and I don't really stick to things, well, that tells you that you need a different kind of card than maybe the Amex Platinum, right? There are cards that are, I mean, the autograph card's a great card. It's a great card. And it doesn't matter if you're overly disciplined. As long as you pay your bill on time, it doesn't matter. And if you don't stick to it and you switch to something else, well, no harm, no foul, because you don't have an annual fee. No big deal. Do I enjoy detailed financial stuff? This is the financial world. I mean, credit cards, points, and miles, even YouTube under its genres or its, niches, it categorizes all of us who do credit card content as financial channels because this is financial stuff. And if a person just doesn't like money stuff, doesn't like math, but maybe they're like, but I love to travel. Well, they probably need a player too who does like that kind of stuff because you're going to be doing a lot of it. And then this is a big question. Am I debt free? Now, I'm not saying a person who has maybe car loans shouldn't do points and miles. And I'm not saying a person for sure that has a house loan shouldn't do points. I'm not meaning those kind of debts or business debt or whatever. But am I credit card debt free? If you're not, then unless you're just getting a card to transfer to that's 0% so you can pay it off and that's your strategy. But otherwise, just to rack up points for travel or points for fun, or you probably need to get that debt. In fact, I know you need to get that debt gone first and then go through all these other questions for yourself so you don't get in that situation again. Because you're going to have so much, you're going to have the ability to dig that hole you're in so deep if you get a bunch of cards that, man, you're going to be, it can start imploding on you. You can start drowning in it. So they got to ask, am I debt free? And if you want to play the credit card game, then get debt free on your credit cards first. And then I think this is an important question. Am I okay with delayed gratification? I'm okay with delayed gratification because in this, patience matters. You got to wait to hit your sign-up bonuses, get your points. You've got to shop for redemptions. And if you just choose the first redemption, I want to go to Miami and, there's the first flight. It's 55,000 points one way. I have 55,000 points. Well, probably not the best way to do it, right? If you just have to have that immediate satisfaction, you're not gonna win with the banks. You might break even, but even then you might not. So I think these are important questions. Did I miss any here? Did I miss any? And so that's the first principle I want to do. And so if you have anything to add about either how the banks win or this first principle, please put it in the comments. All right, let's see. We still have 46 people watching. Charvicio, it also wins by people making 50 to 75K convincing themselves they can get value from the platinum. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't make a lot of money who have a platinum card because they'll give it to you. Because I see people who are 24 and I know their field, so I kind of have some idea of what they're making, and they have that card. So I agree. St. Patrick's Day channel member, good to have you here. Says happy Sunday, Bop, and gives $1.99. Thank you so much, St. Patrick's. Thank you so much. Appreciate it very, very much. All right. Don't think we have any more comments right now, so I'll move on to the next slide. So that's principle number 1. Principle number 2. And this is where, well, Bop is, I deviate from a lot of people, I know. So I want to give a disclaimer before I get going. This is how I see it, but I know people that are very successful in this that don't do it this way. Okay. So this isn't judgmental. It's not meant to be from a peak looking down upon those who haven't figured it out yet. I'm just telling you what's worked in my life. And this is true with credit cards and also just finances in general. It's been very good to me, to Nona, and to our family. And that is the idea of budget and tracking spending. So I think the questions here are you living on a budget? In other words, is your money managed? That's really what it comes down to. Is your money managed? Because it can get out of hand. I mean, we have thousands of dollars in annual fees. And if I didn't have a managed money situation, if I didn't have a budget, well, man, I wouldn't know when that stuff's coming up. I wouldn't know how much is actually coming in or going out. I wouldn't have a clear picture of my finances. And I want a clear picture of my finances, even how the credit cards fit into it. The second question on this is, do you spend less than you make? Now, I think this kind of goes to the comment Shavicio was talking about. It doesn't matter if you make 50,000 or 75,000 or 150 or 275,000, whatever you make. To be in a good shape financially, you have to make more than you spend, period. You have to. So that's where the budget comes in and being able to track. And then the third question you have to ask is, do you track your spending? Now, this is where I'm a little bit overboard about it, I know. But there are different ways to do it. Now, mine's very precise. And that comes from my Dave Ramsey background of tracking every dollar through an envelope system. But I have family, I have friends, I know people who are very good at tracking their spending who are not this precise. So like I said, nothing's meant to be judgmental or say it's the only way to do it. But I think these principles are still true regardless of how people do it. So I'll give some examples of how I do it in a moment, but let me go back to comments. Okay, St. Patrick Day gave that great super chat. Thank you. Charvicio, I think another question should be, is my salary high enough to earn enough points for any redemption? Points take serious spend. Almost a year, I haven't been able to earn enough points for any. Yeah, they do. Points take a lot of spend, unless you're doing just the sign-up bonus technique. But even then, you got to hit the sign-up bonuses, and that takes spending. Says redemptions, and then Jimmy Duff. Are you comfortable spending a lot of time understanding a constantly changing credit card game? Yeah, I am, because I find it fun. And I think that's a principle too, remember in the last slide, I asked the question, are you the kind of person that you gets bored of things and doesn't stick it through? It's the deeper you're in it, and you'll know this, Jimmy, because you're pretty deep in it. But the deeper you're in this, the quicker your learning curve is on new stuff, like when the built stuff came out. It was confusing, but my learning curve was pretty quick. A lot of other people's was too, because we're kind of used to the coupon books. We're kind of used to the language, right? So yeah, I am comfortable, and it is constantly changing, but that's kind of what makes it not stale. Now, it also is disappointing a lot, but it kind of makes it not stale, at least for me. So good question. I appreciate it, Jimmy. Chad says, did you get my email with the EVA air flight I found? When did you send it? I don't think I got it. Let me check. Oh yeah, I did. I got it. Thanks. I'll check it out after this. It came in this morning. Appreciate that. Thank you, Chad. Very kind of you. Charvicio says spending less than you make is a serious life lesson, but points and miles are counterintuitive. For most people, spending less than they make means they'll never have enough points. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I can see that point, depending on how much you make, and depending on how much you owe, what your bills are. I mean, a person who makes a smaller salary but has absolutely no debt, which there are people like that. I mean, their spend can be more than somebody who makes a higher salary and has more debt they have to pay. So it's all relative to people's individual situations. All right, let's see how many are in here right now. Let's see, we have still right about 50 watching. 24 have hit the like button. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do that. Thank you for everybody who's given super chats, super stickers, and gifted memberships. That all helps immensely. So that's the second principle, a budget and tracking. And let me illustrate how I do this. So I put a black mark through, because the way this program works, this is called, I think it's just called Checkbook on the App Store on Apple. And all it is, but there are, dozens of programs that do this. It's just a checkbook register, and you can open up different accounts. So I have lots of them. These are just a few: spending, daily money, spending, miscellaneous, dining, date nights, gas, stuff like that. And this tells you what's in each of these accounts at this exact moment. And then if you add them all up, where I have it blacked out at the top of that left picture, that, because I didn't think anybody needed to know exactly how much money, because that is exactly how much money I have in my bank account today after all the spend I've already put on my credit cards, but haven't paid the bill yet. Okay. So the reason this works is when I get paid, I have a budget, and I have multiple income streams, and they're all different on my budget. Some of them are salary, some of them are change over time. So some of those are percentage based. But whenever I get paid with whatever income stream it is, my budget tells me what to put, how much dollar amount or percentage, depending on what it is, to put in each category or in different categories. And I go in and I just make a quick deposit. So you look on the right, this is under the dining tab. If I click the dining tab, it pulls up the dining tab and it says deposit $70. So at that time, I put $70 in there. And then you see the times that I spent money. And my code is, you notice it says Grubhub AXBG. That means American Express Business Gold. Now, I don't have to type in Grubhub American Express Business Gold every time I do this. When I open up the app, if I hit GR, it's going to bring up all the times I've done Grubhub. And I just click Business Gold and it just pulls it up. It takes 2 seconds. And then I put in 2180. And I did that because on my American Express Business Gold, it gives me back $20 a month on that. So at least once a month, I use my Business Gold. And then you notice the others. Lenny's P stands for Prestige. I know what card it is. So this not only tells me what I'm spending, it tells me what card it's going on. But then that total at the top of the 511.59 is what I have left in dining after, and this money's in the bank. It's not money that's coming to me someday. It's money in the bank after I've spent on my cards. Now I know, let me be very clear. This is a very detailed system, but it is not hard for me because I did the Dave Ramsey envelope systems for years where I got out cash in small bills and stuck them in envelopes and carried those envelopes around. So the reason I like it though, and I think there are other ways to do it, just to be clear, I think there are other ways to do it. I mean, even people in my own family think, Bop, you're crazy. I mean, why do you put so much time in this? Because I know I have the money in the bank before I even spend on the card. And I know exactly how much I have, even after all I've put on all of my cards. And when you got 30 plus cards, it's kind of important to know, at least to me. So I track all my spending. And I don't think this is the only way to do it. I know people who are very successful at this, who just maybe once a week or once a month, they go through and look at their statements and they kind of add it all up and all that. Different ways to do it. But the principle, I think, is true, that you've got to find a way to be able to track, to know what's coming in and what's going out. Now, do you have to know it in every category like I do? Well, probably not, but it's been very, very good to me. Very good to me. So, all right, go ahead and tell me how nuts I am. I'm fine with that. Everybody else says that. Okay, thanks for the beer. Says, I like to stick to my high earning cards, Strata Elite and MX Gold. Yep, Those are great cards. They earn well. Strat Elite, Amex Gold, talk about a dining combo. You got 4X all the time, and then 2 days a week at night, you're going to have a 6X. That's great. Jessica. Hey, Jessica. Good to have you, channel member. Happy Sunday, RM. The top 10% of earners account for 50% of spending. I think most banks and loyalty programs are targeting those spenders who may not care about getting max value from the points. I think they are. I think they definitely are. But they're offering these credits because they're trying to entice those people into their world, into their ecosystem. That's a great observation. Oscar says, I do it once a month. Set aside the money for my debt from last month, then set a budget with the remaining money. Hey, Oscar, I like it. That seems like a good way to do it. Seems like a very good way to do it. All right, let's see what else we have. We have about 55 in here. Charvicio says, I found putting every expense on my Built Obsidian card helps with budgeting. I can just look at the statement. Yep, that works. That's an easy way to do it. Mine has to be more complex because I have lots of cards and I basically have a different card to use for everything. So every category, so yeah, but however it works, as long as a person knows what they've got left over, what's coming in, what's going out. That's the principle that has to be followed. So Oscar, Charvicio, I think both those sound like a really good way to do it. Okay, how to win principle number 3. Only put natural spending on credit cards. Natural spending. So what I'm meaning by that is that if a person gets sign-up bonuses and buys something they wouldn't buy or can't afford, then I think that they're really going to get in trouble, because that the banks would want you to do that. Why do you think they give such big limits? I mean, if you get deep into this game, you need to have so much available credit because you're paying off your cards every month that, it'll be enormous if you get deep into this game, because, you're paying off your cards every month. That's how you're going to win. And if you get, that's why it's important before you get these cards with a high spend to meet the sign-up bonus, that you know what spending you have coming up. You know what you normally can spend in a month, and you know what kind of special things are coming up. Am I going to have to pay taxes, quarterly taxes, or do I have a big expense I'm going to get reimbursed for? Stuff like that. So I think that's very important. We have still about 50 or so watching in here. That's great. Principle number 4. Honestly evaluate travel needs and choose cards appropriately. Okay. If you only travel once a year, you probably don't need lounge access. If you travel 20 or 25 times a year, you might need lounge access. And then there's a point in between where a person does and doesn't. And you have to determine that for yourself. If you only stay at low-end hotels, you don't need a platinum or a CSR, because Edit and FHR don't fit that. Now, the Elite card does. That might work for you. But you got to know how you travel. You got to know what your travel needs are. And you've got to choose your cards appropriately, or you're probably making a blunder and the bank's going to win. All right, what are we looking at? 51 in here watching. That's still very good. Okay, principle number 5, periodically reevaluate and cancel cards. Now, I do this at least twice a year. I'll kind of look at my portfolio. I'll do a little math on it, and I'll decide, well, I'm going to keep these or I'm going to cancel them. Because if you just keep them all permanently, you're going to end up having cards you're paying for that you're not using. It's just the way that it works. And if you're going to do the whole, I'm going to do the sign-up bonus thing to rack up a lot of points, well, then you're going to have to be conscious of this and be canceling cards along the way. Jessica says, I find that planning travel and using credits often results in more spending for me. Not spending that's out of my budget, but I recognize that they are encouraging more swipes. Well, yeah. I think that's probably true for all of us. And I don't think it's necessarily an issue if it's stuff you can afford. But yeah, when it comes to Nona and I, we do that too. But it's still within the budgeted amount. Now, we might have went a little cheaper if we were just, paying cash or whatever, but it's still not something we can't afford. So I think that's the fine balance there. Charvicio, I don't pay more than 125 a night for hotels, 45 nights a year. So I just stick to the portal. 45 nights a year, that's quite a bit. 125, yeah, you can get a Fairfield for that, right? Courtyard, something decent. Okay, we got getting up close to 60 watching now, 28 likes. So hit the like button if you haven't done that, please. Thank you, everybody, for all the super chats, super stickers, and gifted memberships. Okay, next principle. Keep a spreadsheet and track your credits. The more cards you get that are high-end cards, the more important this is. And when you have a lot of them, it's big. I mean, you got to do that. I do this, and I look at it at least once a month and say, what credits do I need to try to use this month? And there are some that are monthly, so I've got to kind of keep those at top of mind. So I think this is very, very important, or else you're going to leave money on the table. And I love that thing that, I don't know if he's still in here, but that Chad had on his videos for a long time, where he doesn't leave money on the table, and it's like loud and slapping the money and pulling it back. I think that is cool, because the goal, now we all end up leaving money on the table sometimes, but the goal is not to. The goal is always not to. All right, let's see. Gentleman Explorer, additional principle, need to just degenerate in you to bend the rules and enjoy it. Okay. Bend the rules and enjoy it sometimes. And I've bent them before. That's right. But it's good to have principles that guide you. Even that way, if you bend one or break one here and there, it's not going to be such a big finance killer, right? In the end. Principle number 7, and this is the last one I have, is learn to use search tools. This is very, very helpful, because this is going to help with your cents per point value. It's going to help with the value of your redemptions in general. So I started off using just point.me, still use that sometimes. Now I'm on seats.arrow. I even have the paid plan. Very, very helpful. Really like it. I still use points. Yeah, that was kind of the middle one I graduated to. And I still use all 3 of them, but those are very, very helpful. There's also those kind of tools for hotels, and they will save you points. And overall, they'll save you money and help you win the game. All right, well, that's what I had for today. Let's see if there's any more comments. Still got 56 here watching as we're getting ready to close out. Anybody want to add anything else here? Please put it in the comments, and I'll try to read it before we go. But before I shut down, I want to thank St. Patrick Day for a $1.99 gift. Thank you so much for that. Thank Mr. Jimmy Duff, $4.99. Thank you. Mike Newland gifted 5 Rewards Master memberships, as he often does. Thank you so much, Mike, as I thank you every time. And Dim gave $4.99, and Gentleman Explorer became a new member. So that's fantastic. Thank you all very, very much for that. Got a couple comments here at the end. Imagine Wrong says strategy should not be built around salaries. I make a public teacher salary, but I have very low expenses and come from a couponing background. So I stack 5X plus on almost everything. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's not based on salary, because I mean, I know people who have a lower salary than other people, and their net worth is far more. And their spending ability would be more because they have less debt. So yeah, Imagine Wrong. That's a great point. Great point. Charvicio, I found high CPP is really only achievable for aspirational redemptions. That's generally true. In other words, if you mean in business class or really nice hotels, but generally business class. Yeah, that's where you get the highest CPP for sure. But I don't know. There are times, there are exceptions. That's the rule, but there are exceptions to the rule. Like when you can get Virgin for 6,000 points, or what Travis talked about the other day, when you get an 88-point, economy flight on Lufthansa to Europe. I mean, that's a pretty good cent per point value. Even those wouldn't be aspirational. So there'd be exceptions to the rule, but I think Servicio, that's definitely a rule. Thanks for the beer. Says I never leave money on the table. I don't even forget that $7 Dunkin' credit. Yeah, when I had that card, I didn't forget it either. It was there's Dunkin' right by my office, so once a month I'd swing through there for sure. Mike Newland, thanks, RM. Have a great week. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. Servicio, I'm a teacher too. Zero debt, but salary is a ceiling. Outside of rent, my spend is less than $1,000 a month. Great for saving, but terrible for earning. Yep, understand that for sure. All right, well, I'm going to shut her down. Thank y'all for being here, and hopefully I'll have another live probably Friday night and probably next Sunday for sure. I'll see you then. Thanks for being here. Thank you for everybody who gave gifts and gifted memberships. Appreciate every single one of you.